Hey there, in today's video we are going to talk about what is a lexical scope in JavaScript. So before we begin, there are two types of scopes in JavaScript. One is a local scope and the other is the global one. So what is a local scope? Any variable defined within these blocks are local scopes. That means any code outside of it will not be able to access it. I'll quickly demonstrate for you. We'll create a function called increment, and then we'll declare a variable called number in it with an initial value of 0, and then we'll increment that number by 1. So now this variable is declared within these blocks, so it is a local scope variable. Any code outside of this function will not be able to access it, so we are trying to access that variable within these blocks. So it is a local scope. Let's say if we were to copy it and if we paste it outside of this function, now any code over here will be able to access this variable because now it is outside of this function. It is not in any function, so it has a global scope. So even this function can have an access to this variable now. Okay, so what is a lexical scope in JavaScript? A lexical scope in JavaScript is how inner functions resolve variables. Now let's say if we have a function called increment, and we declared a variable in it called number with an initial value of 0, and we created another function called add1 which will increment that number by 1, number plus plus, and we'll also console it out so that we see the updated value. Next, we'll call this function after declaration straight away in the outer function, right? And now we call the increment function, the outer function. So now you see the initial value was 0 and now we have incremented it. So how does lexical scope come into play over here? So when we call the increment function, which in turn calls add1, so the add1 looks for the variable called number. However, it couldn't find it in its block, in its code. So what it does is it goes up a step in the ladder and then it tries to look for the variable over there in its parent scope. So it found it. So it looked for its value and then it incremented and consoled it out. Now let's say if this variable was not defined over here as well. So what it would do is it will try to go up the chain until it ends up in the global scope, and if it couldn't find the variable anywhere, then it would throw us an error. Another quick note is variables declared in outer functions are available to the inner functions. However, if we declare this variable over here and if we try to console it up, if we try to access it in its parent scope, then it would throw us a reference error because this variable has now become a local variable. So as discussed earlier in this video, and local variables are not accessible to any code outside of the blocks that they were declared in. So this was all scopes and lexical scopes in JavaScript for you. Please like and share this video. Also subscribe to this channel. In the next video, I am planning to put an in-depth explanation about closure, what it is and how it works behind the scenes. If you have any thoughts on this video or about scopes or lexical scopes in JavaScript, please feel free to put it in the comments below so the future viewers may be able to benefit off from it. If you have any queries, you are more than welcome as well. So thanks for watching. Peace out. See you again.